All right, we're on to item number 3, which is the presentation of the.
Good morning. My name is Mike Verdorn of employees there. So we collected salary and benefits information, that is salary structure, the formal ranges of minimum, midpoints, and maximums. And then we took all that information to develop an updated salary structure. We looked through several different options of a salary structure, taking in the perspectives that the Board of Commissioners has, as well as what the county can afford, as well as what the market position is, and then thinking about internal equity of the county, representing all the different functions, the different levels and hierarchy in proportion to the employee population as well, so it is that sample size. Sent that out to 13 public sector organizations. You can see those that are on the list right here, the ones that have an asterisk next to it. They did not participate in the survey, and they do not have any data available online for us to do the research as well. And then we can't collect anything from them. It's too difficult to try to match the right jobs and the right titles, et cetera. For those that are in the private sector, because we know that's important for a lot of cross-industry positions, if we sent a survey out to FedEx or to St. Jude or anything like that, they would basically throw it in the garbage. They're worried about data privacy on their end. So we use published survey sources, Economic Research Institute, commonly known as ERI, Comp Analysts, and Pay Factors. Those consolidate data, they look at surveys, private sector organizations participate in those surveys, and we're able to, and so that's gonna vary across all of those 98 jobs that exist as well. So the next slide. You can see on this slide right here, that overall, the Shelby County salary structure is below market. This is what we.
Relationship of pay based on the organization's reporting relationships and the desired relationship to market and to internal value or internal equity. The salary structure is developed using these 4 factors. Number 1 is the competitive point. Based on the county's recommendation of a minimum of $40,502 to sustain a living wage within Shelby County, that was the starting minimum we used for the new salary structure. We want to make sure that the salary structure is consistent and maintained the same number of pay grades that you currently have in your structure, and so we developed the framework to align with the market and also support compression mitigation. Also, we base our salary structure on being market-focused. So we placed benchmark jobs into the salary structure based on the midpoint that was most closely aligned with the market data. And finally, there's a consideration that we take into account in that we want to ensure that there are no decreases for pay for employees. That being said, it's important to understand that the change to the pay structure does not mean that every employee receives a pay increase. In terms of the salary structure and placing jobs within the salary structure, we like to look at the job factors versus internal factors in order to place that job within the new salary structure. When we're looking at how to place employees within the new pay range that we've developed, we take into consideration things like skills, knowledge, salary structure based on the elements that I have just previously discussed. As you can see, there are 26 pay grades, which is the same as you currently have. We started the salary structure at the lowest grade at $40,502 to ensure that everyone within Shelby County government has a living wage, and developed the structure based on using midpoint differentials and range widths that provide consistency and can be reflective of the market and best practices in human resources. And I have to move down because I can't read that. So 1 second, please. Thanks, Gerald. Eyesight's not that great. All right, so implementing a salary structure, there are many considerations that we need to take into account. Once jobs are assigned to the salary structure, the next exercise that we do is determine where individual incumbents should be placed within their assigned pay ranges. And the structure provides guidance for compensation in the form of the defined ranges, and individuals should be placed at various points within the range, but based in their new assigned pay range to the minimum of the pay range. The next is you can look at everybody's time in position and determine a target salary within the pay range where they should fall. And then the third option is looking at an employee's current comp ratio and placing them in the structure while maintaining that comp ratio. Our next step with this Shelby County team is to work with them to place employees in appropriate pay grades. Our last slide is, of course, the estimated implementation cost. And based on the three scenarios that we just mentioned, we've done some automatic placement into ranges based on the market data. And the following costs, of course, may change based on where people are actually placed and where jobs are actually placed in ranges. So the first option is bring to minimum. And that overall would be a 2.4 estimated increase to payroll expense, and the total costs to do that would be about $6.8 million. The second option that we discussed was this target salary based on an employee's time in their position. Overall, that would increase payroll expenses by 6.66%, and that's approximately $18.9 million in estimated costs. And of course, the final option is using the current comp rate.
Thank you so much for that. Commissioner Bradford, you're in the queue.
Thank you all for this presentation, and I know we've been waiting on this data for a while, so I really appreciate your hard work on this. It is very good information, and I hope that we as a body can start moving forward to get our salaries more in line with what's in the industry. This was strictly looking at salary, right, though? We didn't talk about benefits or anything else. Just when we compare working here and working at a private company, you know, you may have more holidays here, you may have a better retirement package there, that type of stuff. This was strictly salary-based, correct?
The content of this presentation right here was focused on the salary structure.
Okay.
We do have benefits information on comparison of the cost share amounts and everything like that in a separate document, but detailed levels can't be done in this setting right now. We think it's first important to focus on that salary structure part of it.
Yep, I agree. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bradford. Thank you for the presentation. To Commissioner Bradford's point, this is something that we've been waiting on for quite some time. So I do like how you broke it out in the options 1, 2, and 3. And you mentioned somewhere when you were giving those options that you would work with the HR department in order to help them implement that. My question will be, that sounds like that's an additional cost.
No, the initial part is Mike Verdorn. The initial part of that, we're reviewing it with them now. We walked through kind of what the costing worksheet is. That is included in the current scope of work.
Okay.
Is to make sure that we have current the employees placed in there. For example, we might have one job that's a benchmark job. Let's just say it's an accountant, and that job gets placed into this grade. Then we look at the other jobs, and it's like, wow, the other job that's higher than this was not a benchmark job. We need to make sure that that's placed in the grade that's higher when it might not have been with the kind of the formula that we use to place it in there. So there's always the triage that we need to do of the placement to make sure we have the internal equity and hierarchy accounted for within that framework. So
Gotcha.
that's included within this.
Okay, so that is already included in the scope of work. Okay,
Correct.
that's good to know. My next question, this is more of a comparison question. This is more as I think probably a finance question. This more as I think probably a finance question. I see Director Tipton sitting back there. If she can come on up. If she may know this off the top of her head, she may not. But I at least want to put it on the record around if, as we look at option 1, based upon currently what has been proposed in the FY26 budget by bringing everyone up to the 40,000. Like, you may not even have had this conversation yet, but I want to go ahead and put it out there. Option 1 that they have reported is bringing everyone to the minimum is a cost about $6 million. How does that compare to what you've already presented around bringing everyone to who was not at 40,000, bringing them up to 40,000 plus a 3% pay raise that has been proposed in FY26? Have you had an opportunity to compare notes? Okay, all right. Well, I didn't think so, but I did want to put it on the record that I would love to see if we had some of that information for next Wednesday around kind of comparing to what was presented today.
2.6933.
Decision about, without recommendation. So you were the mover?